I see a lot of faces that I have seen around in the conference before. As you might know already, my name is Gilmar Smith. And we're going to be talking about the fun side of photography, because why not? We started, I guess that every single one of you picked up a camera because you guys wanted to have fun. It wasn't like, I'm going to be a photographer because it's boring. No, it's not. So I'm going to introduce myself to the ones that don't know me. I'm going to be talking about adding fun and personality into your photography, whether it is your personality or whether it is your clients, your subject's personality, your family. So before I start talking about all of that, I'm going to be talking about my story a little bit, because it wouldn't make sense for you to hear how I treat my clients and how I interact with my clients without knowing why I do what I do. So my name is Gilmar. It is spelled with a G, but it is pronounced like if it was an H. And if you want to know why, it's because my dad's name is Gilberto and my mom's name is Maria. And I guess that it was something out of the 70s that they thought that it was a cool idea just to combine their names and make mine, but well, that's my name. So I was born and raised in Venezuela. I'm based in Orlando, Florida. And what I love to photograph is people. But before I decided to photograph people, I went and tried every single thing, from motorsports to landscape, long exposures, and whatever. And then I realized that what I love is people. And if it's making them laugh and making them have a good time, even better. So let me tell you about my photography journey. I started photography about 10, 12 years ago, and I never intended to do so. In fact, I never bought a camera. My ex-husband got this camera, used it for a little bit, put it in a corner. It was collecting dust. I needed it, and I think that photography found me because I needed to be found. During that time, my son was recently diagnosed with autism. I was going through divorce, and my camera became that little escape that I really, really needed. And it was magical to me just to see all the things that I could create with photography, but also all the magic that I could add with Photoshop. So those are my two passions. So I have this thing, and my family laugh about it, because my older brother and I are 11 months apart. He has a gazillion of pictures of him when he was a baby. I have none. And I've been in every house of every family member, and the first thing that I do is just look for a picture of me as a baby. There are toddler pictures, babies none. And it has been so bad, because I get really annoying and intense about it, that they have tried to get me some pictures of my cousin and tried to pass it as if it was my own. No, no, no. So obviously, with my son, and when I grabbed the camera, I was like, he's never going to have to go through what I've been through. So my idea was creating pictures with my son. But my son, with his diagnosis of autism, he didn't want to have absolutely anything to do with the camera. Every time I pulled that camera out, he would run. He didn't want anything to do with it. So I found a creative way to get him involved. And it's something that we all do at one time or another, which is storytelling. We are all storytellers. So I will sit with him, and I will be like, once upon a time. And then I was like, where are we? What do you want? Like something in the mountains, something at the beach, something in whatever. And then he will tell me something, and I will keep prompting him, like, do you want to be a superhero? Do you want to be? He didn't have any idea. And then I will be sketching. I'm horrible drawing, horrible. But I will try to make my sketch with all the elements that we will add to our story. And then at the end, I will be like, when he was like really into it, I would say like, how about if we take a picture of you and you pretend to be that character that we created, and boom, completely transformed the experience because he was so much into the story that we created together that he was willing to be in front of the camera. And he will even get in front of the mirror and start practicing his expressions and all of that. And that completely changed the way that I approach photography, not only for kids, but for grown-ups. The thing is that they don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing the same exact thing that I'm doing with my kids, but differently. So these are my two kids. This idea, actually, because we have been doing this for so many years, this is my daughter, and this was my daughter's idea. She wanted to do something about racing. So give me a prompt, and I will just pick that little brain. And that's the magic of childhood. We are all creative when we're kids. We all play pretend, right? And then we get older and we get boring. I'm gonna try to get you guys to get rid of that boring side of things and just do fun things. So anyways, and I asked her, like, what kind of animal do you want to be racing? And she was like, snails. And I was like, okay, that sounds fun. And who's gonna be winning? Me, of course. And who's second? My brother? Who's third? Obviously, me. So we created that together. They usually sit with me and they tell me how they want it. So I got the pictures of the snails first, and then I took my kids to the garage and I sat them in apple boxes, just looking at the way the snails were so we could match the perspective, and then I did my Photoshop magic, and then everything was put together. We have these in our walls, along with the other ones that I'm gonna show you. But now, this is what is so precious to me about this kind of photography, this kind of art that I create. I'm doing a collaboration with my kids. I'm pulling out that magical side of childhood, right? That inner child, that wonder. And I'm putting it here, and we're doing it together. So to me, when I do this, I always call it like it is like a portal back to your inner child, back to what it is, life in reality. And that's what I love doing this, because I know that they're young right now, but eventually they're gonna get older and they're gonna appreciate it even more. And I do appreciate these pictures even more as the time passes. Now, my daughter, this picture has been in magazines and everything, and every time she starts the school year, she packs those magazines in her backpack, and she makes sure to tell everyone that she has been in magazines before. So this is another one that I created with them during the pandemic. I have a partnership with a prop house in my town, and I can borrow everything that I want from there. So I will go during the pandemic, like once every 2 weeks, and bring crazy things and just do a new adventure in my living room. So there are things here that I did in Photoshop, but there are things that are made on camera, like that backpack, that snake, that trunk, that fire, the tent. All of this is real. We had that adventure in our living room, and we were sleeping in sleeping bags, and we were having the time of our life, because my mission has always been making my kids' life beautiful regardless of whatever. So then I started adding things in Photoshop and making it like a little bit crazier, but most of this was done in camera. This is my daughter as a little old lady. And we do dress up and we do things like this all the time, and it's super fun. And the thing is that if you follow me on social media, I give you an insight of this, because I either do a live stream of when I'm doing these adventures, or I do a lot of videos or time captures, and I show you the whole process and how fun we have doing this, because it's about having fun and getting them involved and giving them the power of saying what they want and getting involved in the concept itself. Here we are again, and this time we are in the circus. This was another one, and what I love the most about this it's like I kind of give them a little project and I give them like a costume or whatever, and then I let them get into the character and really just see how far they can take it. And this is just fantastic. I love just to kind of hide in the background and see what they do, but it's so much fun to create like this with my kids. So throughout this time after I got divorced, like I told you, I started creating these things with my son. Then I fell in love once again, and I got pregnant with my daughter. And after I had my daughter, I had a really bad postpartum depression. Really, it was a complete disconnection of myself. People don't talk about it a whole lot, but it's a really rough time, and it doesn't have to be with you not loving your family or not loving your kids. It's just like adapting yourself to your new life, and I guess the hormones and a whole lot of other things. So during that time, I started creating again with my camera, and my camera once again saved me from the dark side of life that we always have. My camera has always been that powerful tool that makes me happy, and it takes me away to magical places of creativity and fun and craziness. And the good thing about it is that I have learned to own my craziness and my bright colors, and you have no idea during my time in photography how many people have told me those colors are too bright, and I was like, yeah, thank you. That's what I'm going for. So like that picture in there that I did with my son, he ended up being in a cover of a magazine. And if you are part of my friends, you receive something crazy like this every year, because our Christmas cards are like something crazy, a crazy concept that we do together as a collaboration. This year in particular, we wanted to be like swampy Florida, and I think that we pretty much pull it off, right? So there is another Christmas card, and it's just about having fun, and you see them smiling, and you see them just getting into the concept and doing whatever they want and enjoying the moment. Then it's here my daughter as a little doll, playing also here with a bunch of creepy dolls, because why not? We did this one for Halloween, and she was at first like, oh, they're so ugly. And I was like, when I get the picture there, and she was like, yeah. And you can find the videos of behind the scenes of all of this in my reels in Instagram. So this is my son once again. I do a lot of workshops and classes and all of that, and I make sure to bring them with me. And they're always involved in everything that I do, and I love sharing that with them, because for me, photography has always been a dream, and it has been a passion, and I want to make sure that I'm sharing that with my kids, because I want them to know that you can make it happen, whatever it is, if you really stick to it and if you really go after it. So I have a question for you, and the ones that have been with my classes here in Imagine USA might know, like, I want you guys to tell me, was this shot in a studio or was it shot in my garage? Garage. I know your faces. I've seen you before. So yes, I love doing these kind of things with my kids. We go and find props, and we create these magical places in my garage, and then we play pretend. So here is us playing some kind of Indiana Jones kind of thing. That's the vibe that we were going for. And it is so much fun. Of course, I do like a lot of work for clients, but this is the connection that I have with my craft. And this is really necessary, and this is what I want my kids to keep. Another one, she loves spaghetti, that has to be done. So now, I'm gonna talk to you about self-portraiture. I do a lot of self-portraiture, and I do it because it helps me technically with my crafts, whether it's lighting, whether it's photography, conceptually, and everything. Why? Because people get annoyed of me trying to get them to pose and to try one thing or the other. And sometimes either when I hire models and I tell them the kind of things that I want to do, they're like, I look at their faces and they're like, I don't know. So I don't do that face because I know how it looks in my head. So the thing about self-portraiture for me is that somehow it has helped me express myself. And whenever I was going through that postpartum depression, I started and decided to do a 365 self-portrait project. It was the craziest thing ever because I had a newborn, but I honestly was craving that time for myself to do something that I love. I needed it. So I started creating these crazy pictures and everything. I kept posting them, and between naps and everything, I would just be working on my image of the day and posting really late at night whenever I had time. And people got really into it. And they kept writing me, wow, every time I see your work, I laugh, it's so much fun, and blah, blah, blah. But I was going through such a hard time in my life that I didn't know that whatever I was doing, it was healing me, and it was bringing joy to people. So that's what I decided, just to keep these bright colors and everything part of my brand. And I'm going to tell you why. Right after I was like halfway of my project, of my self-portrait project, my Prince Charming passed away. And every single little thing that I thought that I had gone through before was absolutely nothing. And it didn't prepare me to what I was going through. And once again, my camera was that little tool that took me away from the pain and made me feel happy. Because every time that I was taking pictures, and every time I was retouching the pictures, and every time that I was sharing them with people, I will feel better. I will just go somewhere else. So there was a time that I started taking these self-portraits, and they were sad, they were dark, they were moody. And I would cry while I was taking them, and I would cry while I was retouching them. And I would cry when I was sharing them with people, and then I would read the comments, and I would cry again. And I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to be in that spot. I needed to be happy. I needed to find joy because I wanted my kids' lives to be beautiful. And I didn't want them to remember me as a sad mom. So I started creating more fun things and sharing them with the people. And at the same time that I was doing it, I was having so much fun, and I was practicing, and I was just getting into concepts, and I was learning about light, and I was learning about color, and so many things. And you know, this might be silly for you, but there is a lot of photography into this. Do you know what is hard to take? A monochromatic picture. Because you want all those colors to look exactly the same. So you have to have that technical part of it. And you know how you do it? You pick one color, right? You get your light, how you're gonna light the subject, and then you get a light with a gel of the color that you picked for your picture, and you bounce it either on the ceiling or on a B-flat behind you. And that's gonna make the color and the shadows and everything look cohesive. The colors are gonna look cohesive. So the fun part of it that I was having with this, I was learning, and I was having so much fun, and at the same time I was expressing myself. But these self-portraits have been so great for me when it comes to marketing. I'm not scared of sharing, so I share and I post these all over the place. And I have and I think that I wouldn't be here in this stage without my self-portraiture, because they're such a big part of my brand and who I am. And since I'm very unapologetical about my style and the way that I want to photograph, because I learned it this way with my kids and with myself, people hire me to get the kind of work that I absolutely love to do. So here, garage or studio? Garage. Everything is garage. That's my 44th birthday Picture. I do one of these every year just to remind myself how old I'm getting and how young I feel. So have any of you tried self-portraiture? I know that is a very difficult topic and nobody, like a lot of people don't like it, but I would recommend you if you want to test, if you have a photo shoot and you want to try something new, get in front of the camera. If you want to learn a new technique, get in front of the camera. Just try to do it yourself. And I know, sir, that you were asking me if I was running back and forth to take my self-portraits. And no, you don't need to do it. I shoot with my Nikon C8 and my Nikon C7. And I use the Nikon snap bridge to trigger my camera. And it has live view. So I can bring my phone where I am and I can see exactly what my camera is seeing. And I either use a timer for like 3, 5, or even 10 seconds, depending on what kind of pictures I'm taking. Or I use the interval time shooter. And I just set it up, and that will give me the freedom to move around, and there are going to be like 100 pictures of me, but one of them is going to be good, right? That's all you need. All right, so building a connection. Do you remember that I was telling you how I used to play with my kids, and I still play with my kids about storytelling? I do the same with my clients, but different because they're grown-ups. So to me, a crucial part of my photography business is connecting to people and talking to them before they set a foot in my studio. Why? Because I want them to feel as comfortable, and I want them to feel seen, and I want to know as much as I can about them, so when they come in front of my camera, I can provide to them everything that they need. So I do work a lot with props, and props are fantastic for many reasons. The first thing is that people get really stressed out in front of the camera. So if you give them something to hold, because that's the thing with people in front of the camera, like, I don't know what to do with my hands. So you give them something to hold, and they just start playing with it. In this case, I have done, this is like one of my clients, I have had like 12 or something photo shoots with her. And coffee is a big thing for her. So every time she comes over, I know that in the session I have to do like one coffee shot. But you see, she's holding something. And even though after 12 sessions she gets uncomfortable, it's just always that little starting part. And if you give them something to do, and especially if it's something that they connect with, they're going to give you their best. You can do sports if they're into sports. In this kind, it's just like, I love my collection of rotary phones, and my collection of rotary phone is always like a great tool just to get people. It's like a little kid hand you a phone. What do? You answer that call, right? So the same thing, if a photographer hands you a phone, you answer that call. So here, he was producing a podcast. And they had like a problem with microphone once or twice, but every single episode, it was a video podcast, they kept making fun of him because of the microphone. And I was like, hey, do you want to come to the studio and we make a picture about it? So here it is, and it's so much fun. It's always just catching those little things that make things different and that people can use, because I don't like headshots, and I think they're boring, and I think that they don't represent people, and I don't like boring personal branding pictures, because it's personal and you have to make them personal. So you have to get personal with people. You have to get to know them. And I wanted to get really great pictures, but also I want them to tell me, hey, thank you, I had a lot of fun. You make me feel great. I thought this was going to be stressful or scary, but it was fun. That's my goal. So here, and it doesn't have to be like a crazy prop. Here, she's answering a phone call. What is a banana? And that one is because we live in Orange County, and she is in the real estate business. And she wanted to do a branding picture about the whole Orange County theme. And then you can create characters. People love to dress up, believe it or not. And even if they don't like to dress up, just dress them up and they're gonna act the part. It always happens like that. Creating characters is something fun to do, and it really takes the stress out of people, and I love incorporating that. So, do you guys love Boys to Men? Right? I love Boys to Men. I used to love them when I was a teenager, and I love them more with passion after I did this. So, I do this black and white setup a lot, and it's a lot of fun to do. And when they contact me about these pictures, I was like, this is perfect for them. This is what I'm going to do for them. But this is them. And it was the first set that we did, and they're serious, and they were like always, you know, and all of the pictures that you look of them is like super serious. And I was like, I'm going to use my little trick that I use with people to make them laugh. And I always do it without telling anyone what I'm going to do. It always catch them, you know, by surprise. So they were all serious, just like that. I just grabbed my camera, and I started, and I do that. And whether people like it or not, everybody laughs. But the fun part of it is that first you see like what is she doing? What is this? What is going on? And then they laugh, and they laugh, and then there is that lingering smile for a long time because they keep thinking about how crazy I am and how cringy I am. So you have to find, and I know that a lady there in the audience was telling me earlier today that she has been trying and she has been practicing her crazy laugh, and I love that because it never fails. So guess what I was doing here when I was taking this picture? It always works. It has never failed me in my life. And my daughter tells me that I'm cringe, and I'm really proud of it because that's the whole thing. I don't care about making the fool of myself if I'm getting a good photograph, and I have never not getting a good photograph when I do that. So experiment and collaborate. This goes too with the fun things that I have done with my kids. Whenever I have somebody in the studio, I always try to make them involved to whatever we're doing. I use a lot of constant lights, and my lights, you can change the color, right? So I want to make sure that they feel like they are creating too. Because if you think about, you know, like people that make movies or rock bands or, you know, people that are writing or songwriting, you always want to be, what? A fly on the wall, right? Oh, how did they come up with that? I wish I could know. So I love to incorporate my clients into the whole process. So I will pass them my phone with the app of my lights, and I will tell them, hey, you pick the color that we're going to use. Oh, let's make another color combination. And they feel so much part of the whole process that those pictures becomes theirs. And then they buy it, which is what you want to, right? So it's about experimenting and collaborating because I always take time. I know the pictures that they need. I know the pictures that I want to take of them. But I also want and need to experiment and to try something new because my head is always like going with these crazy ideas. So I always tell them, hey, we did already this, but do you mind if we try this? And then I walk them through the idea, and then I pick their brain, and then once again, they feel part of the process. And we are photographers. Our job is to provide people with great pictures, but it's also to make them feel awesome. Because if they feel great about you, they're going to always come back. And let me tell you what, most of my friends now, at some point of my life, they were my clients. And we have become friends, and my kids are their friends, and it's so much fun. So this is a collaboration that I also do with models, and I do with makeup artists, and all of that. And it's about having fun and just picking their ideas and my ideas and putting it all together. And that's when magic happens, when you create to have fun. So even if you are working or doing whatever, you have to take time away just to play and experiment. Another collaboration here with my lovely friend. She loves yoga, and she needed pictures, And I was like, okay, let's do pictures. But then after we got the pictures that she wanted, I was like, okay, let's do this. And then I wanted to try putting the lights lower and to create that beautiful, those beautiful shadows. And do you know how to make this lighting technique? Does anyone wants to know how to make this lighting? Okay. It is called RGB lighting. And RGB is because R, red, G, green, B, blue. So you need 3 lights, same power, and you need to have them light like right in front for the beginning, because then after you know how things work, you can move them next to each other, right? So the combination of the red, green, and blue, those 3 lights, you can gel them, or if your lights change colors, you can use it that way, create white light. Then, after that light hits your subject, the shadows are going to become what? The opposite color of the light that is hitting your subject. So let's say the blue light that you're using, the shadow is going to become yellow. The red light that you're using is going to become cyan. And the green light that you're using, the shadow is going to become magenta. So it's really simple. I know that it sounds complicated, but it's so much fun. Now, the other fun part about this is that you have to play with shadows. If you, in this case, if you put the lights lower, the shadows are gonna go up there. If you put the lights to the side, the shadows are gonna go to the other side. So you get to play. Or if you position yourself differently, you're gonna get a different effect. So you just set your lights and you can walk around, or you can, if you move your subject closer to the background, the shadows are gonna become smaller. And then if you move your subject away from the background, the lights are gonna become, the shadows are gonna become bigger. So it is so much fun, and it is easy to do, and it makes you look smart. It makes you look so smart. Like every time I want to impress one of my clients, I just do this lighting, and I tell them, can you stand right there? Look at your shadow. And everyone's like, oh, how did you do that? And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm cool. So here is Sean Stockman from Boys to Men. Such a sweetheart to work with him. And when we were setting up the shoot, he keeps texting like, can we do a picture with scotch, bourbon, or whatever? And I was like, yeah, whatever you want. Can we do one with a guitar? Can we do this like this? And there is nothing more exciting, not only because it's him, it's just with any client when somebody feels like excited about being in the photo shoot and creating with you. That's magical. There is nothing worse than having somebody, I hate pictures, I don't want to be there. So you really have to pump them up. But when they come already like that, you're like, woo, this is fantastic. So he wanted all these pictures, and we started moving, and I put that canvas background, and I moved that sofa with their help, and we put all of that, and they were super happy. But it's that magical thing of collaborating, because they want to create too, and you have to provide that creative side and give them whatever they want. So another thing that I do is just try to utilize one thing in so many ways. In this case, a white seamless paper. You put stickers on it. You get holes on it. You rip it. And then you use either a black seamless on a C-stand or a V-flat on the black side. And then you have like 4 different shots just using one little thing. And that's how smart you have to do when you have somebody in the studio. You want to give them as many options as possible. The more options you give them, the more pictures are they gonna buy, and the more fun you're gonna have too. So whenever I'm doing my photo shoots, I'm not gonna tell them like how long we're gonna be. We're gonna be all day, we're gonna have fun. I know that you're gonna buy me all of those pictures. So same thing here. If you go to my garage, because I told you most of my pictures are taken in my garage, you find the craziest things. I have boxes of moss and twigs and crazy things there. But I know that one way or another, I'm gonna just incorporate them because it's fun and it's different. And in that case, I already took pictures of her. But I want to do something fun and something different and something creative, so I just bring those things and do that. And the same thing here. The light is different. Let me try this gobble thing and see what the light does to it. Let's have fun. And then you have more variety, and then you know that you can utilize that technique with somewhere else. It's fun. Photography is supposed to be fun. The same here. It's just, that's a spotlight. And you can create so much with one of those spotlights. You can move the blades, you can put gobbles on it and create things differently. And then while you're doing it, what do you think if we do this? What do you think if we do that? You're experimenting and you're collaborating with your clients. So thank you so much, all of you, for having me here today. It is such a pleasure to be here. It's my first time in Imaging USA, and it was wonderful to be here and to get to meet so many people. And on behalf of Nikon, thank you to everyone that came to our booth to try our cameras, to talk with the crew. It's a pleasure to be here. We love you all, and we hope to see you soon. And if you guys are going to WPPI, we will be there too. Thank you so much.